Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. So wonderful to connect with you. I am really delighted to bring you a very special transmission today on the fundamentals of space holding. Yes, the fundamentals of space holding. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a little while, actually. I know that the term space holding is something that's, it's bounded about quite a lot. And it's a really, really important concept. It's a really important aspect of our life here on planet Earth, because fundamentally we are constantly holding space for somebody else, for ourselves. And it's really important to really get to grips with this, because as we move into our own and move through our own journeys, personal journeys of awakening, of self-discovery, of enlightenment, space holding becomes even more important. And we start to recognize that we are longing for this connection to others, to tribe, to community, to that group, that person that can really hold space for us. And in that, we may also recognize that ultimately we have the capacity to hold space for ourselves, for others and ourselves. So what is holding space? What is it? What does it mean? You may have been in circles and heard this phrase used, holding space. I'm holding space. What does it actually mean? So when we're holding space for ourselves or for somebody, maybe it's a bit easier for me to explain it in terms of another, holding space for somebody else. We are holding space for a group as well, of course. Fundamentally, what we are doing is we are creating a vessel, a container, to really hold energetically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, hold on all levels of our existence, this person. So often when we are called to hold space, when we are needed to hold space, it's because somebody or a group are facing challenges that we're being drafted in to support. Now, generally speaking, also, we are always day to day, we're just doing it. We're just being humans. We're just navigating this world, and we're doing our best in the face of adversity and challenge to just generally be here, alive, and survive and evolve and progress. And so this term can also be used to speak to the space that we hold for others generally, or the space that we hold for ours generally, in this journey, this unfolding of life, because it can be challenging. And yes, we are here on a more continual basis to hold that space. But there are times when we are drafted in to hold space in a very particular way at a very particular time. So there may be a sister or a brother that is in crisis, and you have to come in and hold a space for them in that moment, to really be there and show up for them, to them in a way that they need. And that's a fundamental aspect of space holding. Is as space holders, we've really got to purify our own intentions, our own desires, our own projections, and learn to see things from the perspective of the person or the people that we're holding space for. Because ultimately, when somebody is in challenge, facing adversity, or in crisis, what's needed is for us to show up to them in the way that they need us to show up for them in that moment, because anything else is going to be triggering for them. And we don't want to trigger them. We want them to be relaxed and calm and stress-free, so that they can move through as well as possible what it is they are going through. And so holding space is really a selfless act. It's not about attaching our own conditionality to it, our own karma to it. It's not about saying, right, okay, well, I'll hold that space for you, but it has to be done in my way. That's not holding space. Holding space is very much showing up in the way that they need. So in order to do this, we've really got to examine and scrutinize where we're coming from, our own intentions, our own desires. Because if we're coming from a place of judgment, if we are coming, like, not even just judgment of judging that person and their situation, but judging what it is we think that they need and where we think they're at. If we're coming even from that level of judgment, it's going to be felt. Those projections are energetic and they're going to be felt by that other person. And this is when it becomes difficult because, you know, I used to do this. I used to kind of just show up to people and really project what I thought it was that they needed to do. And they used to pick up on it and they used to say to me, you know, that's not what I need right now, or this is stressing me out. And I learned a huge lesson 2-3 years ago when my father was diagnosed with leukemia. And I made the decision very quickly that I had to show up to him no matter what choices he was making, you know, no matter how he wanted to live his life, the lives that he wanted to choose and create for myself, being a holistic therapist, knowing that there's so much that I can help him, trying to project that onto him. But at a certain point, I had to let all of that go when he said to me, you know what, Natasha, that's not helping. It's making me more stressed. It took a long, hard look at myself and I thought, I don't want to add more stress onto my father at this time. So I let it go. And I showed up to him time and time again in the way that he needed. I showed up to him just as a daughter, just as his rock, and project my own needs onto him. I allowed him to tell me how he wanted me to hold that space for him. So when he would contact me, and he was struggling or in challenge or in adversity, I would ask him, how would you like me to be in this moment? How would you like me to show up to you in this moment? So hello, you beautiful people out there. Hi, Cassie. I'm speaking to the fundamentals of space holding at this moment. So important, you know? So purifying our mind, our intentions is so important as part of safe holding, because ultimately it also comes down to this concept of safeguarding. So underlying any of our therapeutic work, particularly, this is more important for people who are working in a therapeutic capacity, safeguarding should be a really important element of our work. So with safeguarding, we consider all of the different aspects in our work which help to make and create safety for our students, for our clients, for our groups that we're working with, as a fundamental basis and fabric and quality and approach to the work that we do. So this allows us to really pick apart and scrutinize everything that we do, all the processes we use, the way that we engage with one another, the language that we use, the length of time of the workshop, what resources we'll have available to make that happen. All of these different elements, how we will provide aftercare and be there to support our people after the workshop, after the session, whatever it is. All of these are important aspects of creating a safe space for people to come to do their healing, to open up, or whatever it is, or just even explore. And so when we are tuning into how we can boost ourselves as space holders, how we can hold space and do that beautifully and do that safely, do that with intention, powerfully, we've really got to think about how we're creating this safe space. So again, purifying our own approach is so important. An important part of that, because it may not feel safe where they're being told what to do, where their situation is being assumed, where we're assuming what's going on for them, where we haven't considered their point of view, maybe where we're not inviting them to participate fully. It might be all about me and my workshop, and others are there to just bear witness. That might not feel safe for somebody. So we need to think about this from all aspects. When we are engaging, when we are encouraging engagement for the group, we've got to think about how we encourage engagement from everybody and allow that opportunity and leave it open for people to say, no, I would like to just remain in my silence and my stillness at this moment, but I appreciate being engaged with. All such important aspects of space holding. The other fundamentals of space holding are really, really practical. I just touched on one before, thinking about the location of where we're going to be holding space. If we have the opportunity to pre-plan that, so if we're doing a workshop or we're holding a gathering, then we have an opportunity to tune into the location and think about the duration and think about how we're going to set up our space, how it's going to be. Do we have breakout spaces? How we're going to schedule our gathering? Will there be ample time for people to break out and go and integrate, so they're not being bombarded? All of those practical elements are really important. Planning, do we have a team? If we do have a team, shall we come together and plan the approach that we're going to take and how we're going to, between each other, be the eyes and ears of the group, to feed information back to each other about who and what needs support, what we can be tending to more, what we can provide to create an even safer and abundant space. So the practical elements are so important. And often we're planning weeks and months sometimes for gatherings in advance. Sometimes I'm not even really planning the content of what I'm going to deliver, because I know that that's just, I can channel that comes, whatever comes is going to come in the moment. Sometimes I save the bulk of my time in order to get together with my people and plan for space holding and safeguarding, because that is the most important thing for me, is to make sure that everything is set up to create this beautiful safe space for my students and my clients to drop into. But what about if you are being dropped into a situation, you've turned up at a friend's house and they are really struggling and you're having to jump in and hold space in that moment? So again, the practical elements are important, and this is where something else comes in. So it's that ability to multitask. So we're in the moment, crisis situation is happening, and we're going to start to take our mind to a few different places just to set things up. We might need to get that person a glass of water. We might need to help them just come into their breath. We might need to think about other people being in that environment, maybe asking them to leave or tending to them for a moment. We might need to sit down, really calm the body, or if they're lying down, we might need to just see if they are breathing, if they're okay. There are all these different aspects depending on what situation you're into, where the practical in that question, the practical is all important. And so as we really exercise our space holding capacity, we learn to split our awareness and our attention into different places, yet still remaining this presence. Now that takes me to another fundamental aspect of space holding that I want to finish on, which is the grounding, the anchoring of our self energy is so crucial and fundamental to space holding, because ultimately it's our self energy that anchors us, that is lent to that person in their moment of crisis or group situation. It's our self energy that really is the powerful force, the warrior of love force that comes out and holds things together, that shares that energy to the person in crisis, who can take from that, who can feel the stability of that, who can feel the trust and the safety of that. And it's our self energy that helps us to be energized, helps us to not falter, to feel stable, so that we're not panicking in that moment and we can show up in the way that we need to. And it's the self energy that helps to relax our own mind and purify our own mind. So in that moment, we can continue to remember to show up how we need to show up. Now, what happens if we don't hold space, if we don't examine the methodology that we're using to hold space, if we're just kind of haphazardly showing up and leading with our own agenda, if we are guiding and leading groups with our own agenda, what happens then? Well, people may feel unsafe. They might not return to our gatherings. They might not return to our workshops. They may feel that they've been cheated of money. They may also feel that their time or their presence hasn't been valued. Okay, so it's really important because there can be these repercussions because of our poor space holding. Ultimately, people can feel undervalued and underrespected. Okay. Other things that can happen as a result of poor space holding is that the group dynamics can shift to a different place. And I've seen that before. I've seen on some longer gatherings and retreats where the space has not been held tightly. And also, it's not just the space we're holding for the guests, it's the space we're holding together as a team. If that's not tight, then the people coming to the workshop will feel that. And those projections that we have as staff towards each other will be felt by the guests. And they may themselves even start to kind of act or play that out. And we will see that mirrored back to us. So I've been in those situations where, because of the destability of the team itself, the guests have started to feel that they don't want to be there, that this isn't the right kind of environment and space for them, that they've kind of been cheated from an opportunity. And this isn't what they thought it would be. And because we are all energetically sensitive and psychic, and we can pick up on these things. So if we are not tight with our space holding, those around us can feel insecure and can even stressed. Okay. So how do we improve our space holding capacity? How can we boost this? So number one is absolutely working on grounding into and anchoring into our self energy, and just working on an energetic and emotional and spiritual level to connect to a deeper aspect to our self energy, to be really grounded and stable in the moment in our self energy, and to be able to draw and drop into that when it's needed. So important. And with that comes working on purifying the mind, correcting and adjusting the mind. So energy work practices are so useful for both of these important factors of really upgrading our space holding capacity, for anchoring into self energy, and for working on the level of the mind. Energy work is like, it's the glue that holds us together. Every day, day-to-day basis, working with energy, this is what's going to keep us going. This is when it's going to keep our consciousness enlivening. This is what's going to keep our energy evolving. And this is what's going to bring the shifts into our lives, going to create the energetic shifts that enables us to really snap back into that present moment and anchor into self energy. Okay, so working with internal family systems is another really beautiful way of working on our stuff, because we can correct the mind in the moment, but fundamentally, if we have this backlog of stuff, of karma and burdens from our own traumatic experiences that we're carrying, this is what's going to be our default setting. So when we're in a situation of crisis, we may just also feel insecure because our trauma or our karma is being triggered. So it's really important for us to really understand that the baggage we're carrying is also helping to create projections moving forward. So continually working on our own stuff is really, 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 really important. Another really important aspect of improving and upgrading our space holding capacity is to work with a mentor or work with a coach. Somebody who is doing it, who has been there and who has done the all up and who has, beautiful, diverse experience that can share that with you. Now, you are going to go out there in the world and you are going to get your own experience in space holding through as a therapist or even just as an individual, somebody not a therapist, but you're going to go out there and you're going to learn to hold space for your friends and family. And that's really beautiful. But if this is something that you want to show up to, you really want to fast track your learning around this, then drawing on the experience of others as you gain your own experience is a really, really important way to do this. So getting a coach or a mentor that can support you in that journey. And also accessing courses and training, teacher training courses that can, and workshops and gatherings that can help you to develop the skills that you need for space holding is so important. And there are some amazing people out there. My husband and I are running some beautiful courses at the moment, online courses and teacher training programs, where safeguarding and space holding is a key fundamental aspect of the program. In fact, it's very much the central aspect. Much of the teacher training that we do, all of the teacher training that we do, is we're doing it because we recognize that there's a real gap, that what we're not seeing is this really keen central backbone of safeguarding involved in energy medicine teacher training. It's really important that we safeguard the process for our students moving forward so that they can really, in energy medicine training or holistic medicine training, it's very much about our own personal healing journey too. It's natural for our own stuff to come up. And so as we move forward into this journey, into this role as a therapist, as a guide, as a mother, as a father, it's really important on that journey of learning, that there is a backbone of space holding and safeguarding where our needs are recognized, the need for us to be held through that journey, because it's a long-term journey. It's really important when choosing the kind of courses that you want to go on is that you examine and ask yourself, is safeguarding really an important and integral aspect to this training course? Am I going to be held? Am I going to be guided in this kind of medium to long-term journey? Is that they're going to care and support there? Do the trainers have the capacity to support me? Sometimes you go into a course and it's just massive. There's 40 people in that ceremony, 40 people, and one trainer. And there are lots of people going through a deep process. Okay, how can one person hold space for all of that? So it's really, really important, if you are serious about your own healing journey, to really examine the quality of the courses and the opportunities that you are accessing and ask those questions. Okay, so Rube and I have some beautiful resources at the moment that will help you to protect yourself and boost your space holding capacity. We have a free course called Protect Your Mind, Body, and Energy bio, or on you just need to scroll down on the feed and you'll find the links to our courses and our opportunities. And we are also enrolling, we've opened the enrollment for our holistic medicine practitioner training program. It's a beautiful short-term teacher training program. It's ongoing. It's an evergreen program. It's incredible. It's so beautiful. I can't wait to start this in if you are a into holistic medicine, into holistic health, and you already have some sort of qualification, you're going to love this. It's going to help and support you on your own path of self-growth, of self-practice, of professional practice, and business development. So we're going to help you to develop and boost your business. So it's been wonderful to connect with you all. I hope it's a beautiful day where you are. It is here, and I'm going to go and get out in the sun and meditate. So grateful and so honored to connect with you and to hold you in tribe and in love, sending you blessings and abundance, joy, and bliss. Have a beautiful day. Thank you to all the beings who joined. Greetings, Pipi Torre from Mexico. Thank you, brother. Sending loads of love.